All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on something pretty interesting, something I saw that got me wondering.
Yeah.
It's about a demographic shift happening in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Apparently, the UK is transitioning away from, like, a white majority population, which I thought was, like, fascinating.
Interesting.
But the source I saw didn't give any, like, hard numbers or anything to back that up.
Right.
So I was hoping maybe you can shed some light on this for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
What kind of data do we need to, actually see if that's really happening?
Well, I mean, we'd have to look at several factors, right?
You're...
One of the key things is birth rates.
Oh.
We'd want to look at the total fertility rate, the TFR.
TFR?
Yeah, that's the average number of children born per woman,
Okay.
And we'd have to compare that across different ethnic groups.
Yeah, that makes sense.
See if there are any, significant differences.
Right. But wouldn't you also have to look at immigration and emigration?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, people moving in and out of the country.
Migration is a huge piece of the puzzle. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I was just looking at some data from the Office for National Statistics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it turns out net migration to the UK hit a record high last year.
Wow.
Over 600,000 people.
Seriously? 600,000?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
I had no idea it was that high.
And when you combine that with declining birth rates among certain groups, you can start to see how the demographics could be shifting.
It makes you wonder, what kind of impact does this have on, life in the UK?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
I mean, these kinds of demographic shifts, they can touch everything, right?
Right.
Public services, the economy, even politics.
I imagine things like healthcare and education must be impacted.
Absolutely.
More people means more demand for services.
Right. You need more resources, more infrastructure to keep up.
And housing, too.
Oh, for sure.
Especially in cities and, densely populated areas.
It puts a strain on the existing housing supply, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then there's the whole economic side of things.
Right. I mean, a larger workforce means more competition for jobs, potentially lower wages.
But also, a more diverse workforce could be a good thing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
New skills, new perspectives, innovation.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword in a way.
It's fascinating to see how it's all interconnected.
Yeah, we started with this simple statement about demographics.
Right.
But it leads to all these complex questions and implications.
And not just about the numbers.
Not at all. It's about understanding the social, economic, even the political consequences.
And, trying to find ways to navigate those changes effectively.
Exactly. That's the key.
So for everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
we started with this claim about a demographic shift in the UK, remember?
Right.
And it turns out there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Well, a lot of nuances.
Yeah, it's about birth rates, migration, and how all of that impacts different aspects of society. And it leaves us with a lot to think about, really.
It does.
So what other data points, what other resources do you think would help us get an even deeper understanding of this?
That's a good question.
Are there certain regions or sectors in the UK where these changes are even more pronounced?
That would be worth looking into, definitely.
I think so, too.
And, another thing I was just thinking, maybe we could look into the age breakdown within these migrant populations.
Oh, that's a great idea.
See how that might affect things in the long term.
Yeah, are they mostly young people, older people?
Exactly.
That could really illuminate those long-term trends.
For sure. It's all about digging deeper, finding those hidden connections.
So for our listeners, if you're interested in this, there's definitely more to explore.
Absolutely.
For the first time ever, the number of people who class themselves as white British is now a minority in London. The 2011 census results out today show 45% of Londoners are now white British, while Barking and Dagenham has seen the biggest change of all.
Children from white families in Birmingham are set to become a minority group for the first time when this year's census is collected in March.
Population forecasts seen by the BBC's Politics show suggest that more than half of children under 16 in the city are from black and Asian communities. Birmingham could become a minority white city within the next 10 to 15 years.
Children at Chadvale Primary in Edgbaston speak 20 different languages. Just a fifth of pupils here are white. The Pakistani community in Birmingham is expected to double over the next 20 years.
A report from the UK shows white British people will soon be outnumbered by Muslim migrants in the city of Birmingham. One America's Pearson Sharp explains how the reversal in population has also brought with it a wave of violent crime.
This is Birmingham in the 1960s, a quaint little city in central England full of farmland, churches, and a bustling city center that enjoyed a very low crime rate and picturesque, historic streets. Flash forward a few decades. These images aren't from Iran, Iraq, or Afghanistan. No, this is modern-day Birmingham. A new report shows native Britons are on their way to becoming a minority in their own homeland. The latest demographics from Birmingham reveals that nearly half of those in the UK's most multicultural city are migrants or foreign-born. Experts say that white Brits will soon be outnumbered as the city continues to swell with residents from Africa and the Middle East.
Yesterday in the census figures from the 2021 census, in which it now says that white British people are a minority in 3 of the UK's largest cities, and Christianity is now a minority religion.
Britain, it alleges, has become the Western capital for Sharia courts.
Yes, that's right, and the number of courts that have opened is now up to about 85.
The former mill town of Oldham attracted mass migration from South Asia in the 50s and 60s. But a generation on, barriers are still to be broken down, which even residents admit means parts of the town are virtually segregated.
English society, more than other parts of the UK, is growing increasingly hostile to immigration. In parts of many major cities, white faces are a rarity, except if they're Polish. In an England where multiculturalism lies in pieces, Luton exemplifies just how much has gone wrong. This small town, just 20 minutes north of London, has become synonymous to the British media with everything that's wrong with Islam. The other week, an entire family of 12 left this street and headed off to join the Caliphate in Syria. This week, 2 men from this boring-looking road were up in court, accused by the police of a plan to blow up a military base. And on the main street, sitting with a coffee, is a convert currently on bail after allegedly distributing leaflets in central London supporting ISIL.